Hello, my dear YouTubers. Thank you so much for being here. My apologies for being a little bit late. Thank you, everyone, for being here. All right, welcome. This is Lily Kolosova, and this is, of course, is my Lifeblood Studio Productions channels and the channel, and this is a channel where I'm going to be talking about all of my future sort of creative projects here. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thank you. Hello, Ramus. Good to see you here. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. Anyway, so here we go. We're going to be talking today. You guys, today I'm just kind of wanted to give a little update on the things that I'm working on because we're going to see a lot of changes coming our way. Okay. Hey, Santo. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I kind of want to talk a little bit about the sort of my creative stuff and what I've been through and how I plan to implement that sort of experience that I went through um, to see to kind of where I can use that experience to help humanity to elevate our collective consciousness. And so, of course, today this is my intent to do this. So, anyway, and so off we go. And so my intent today to continue talk about my experience and where it led me. And so, like I talked last time, I've been on this path sort of ever since childhood. And those of you that know me, you guys understand that ever since I was about 5 years old, I had experiences that ultimately kind of led me to later in life. I understood that those were what you would say in experiences that were spiritual in nature that led me to my life. And so basically, I was guided to live my life the way I do. And so the experiences that I am sharing right now, or I'm intending to share in any of the media productions that I will be working in the future that I do intend to share, I will be sharing on this channel on YouTube. There's going to be other platforms in the future. But because this is sort of is turning into a documentary series, but this series started for me long time ago. You can say it was born about 26 years ago. So, and my intent today to just give you guys a little bit more into a little bit more information into what it is that I'm trying to kind of where it is that I would like to direct my creative power and my creative abilities in a near future, and how I see that fit in my own spiritual path that I have chosen and knew about it for all these years. And so I know that those of you, I think Santo, you know me from Earth Soul Group. That was initially years ago in 2015 and 2016. That was the group where I had, it was a healing group. And yes, that group was closed on Facebook, but there is a YouTube channel where we did have meetings, collective meetings, where we were talking about healing and how to heal individually and how to heal ancestral um, trauma. And so this is ultimately, hi, Teresa. Good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Yes, Santo, talks with Og, those are all about healing and all of that stuff. And like you guys today, I posted, and it is in the description also, a link to a video with Kathy O'Brien. It's an interview on a podcast, and she talks about her 3 books, and she talks about her experience, and most importantly, she talks about aligning our bodies to that healing path, which I kind of been talking a little bit about it in my last couple of videos, to where we align our 3 of our centers into that I am the creator being in human form. So that means that I am responsible for my creation, or that 5th dimension, as within so without, a 5th what is that? No, it is also a 5th element, which is spirit of it all, of or the great spirit, but it's also is a 5th dimension, and it's 5th principle, which is as within, so without. That's the other measure of your reality. And the Holy Trinity of that is within the body. And so basically, the thing is, when I enter any of these things, they're always start spiritually for me. So this documentary series was birthed out of a very traumatic experience. And so that traumatic experience is what is that in every artist, like I explained, has that process of diving into that negative, into that depth of full emotional spectrum of the situation or the experience, in order to heal and come out of it. And this is ultimately many of us who are here, and ultimately my viewers, are those that survive the most horrific abuse of it all, in order to come out of it. Not all of us experience same abuse and same negative experiences. We all have our own different ancestral stuff. Like I say, we all have our ancestral, which is our DNA, and which is our own blood codes. And as your quantum field goes through this quickening or the healing of or elevation of human consciousness, and this is what I mentioned last time, right? I mentioned last time that 3 different sort of stages that we're gonna go through this healing, in order to heal this on the collective level, this 3 centers, which is mind, body, and soul, but only on the collective level. So, and like I was saying, so we're going to talk about spiritual and emotional maturity, collective shadow, and heart-centered grid, which is then that decision, and everyone unified, like I was saying, in the bee colony, to be in that sort of, to create the new queen and have the renewal, and have that whole colony be renewed with the brand new queen, right? And queen has no choice, the old queen, right? So this is what, in a way, our collective human consciousness is going through. And this is, in a way, what the opposite side, which is that, the Illuminati, or the New World Order, or the Satanic Network, or whatever you want to call them, or they do mostly work under the umbrella of these peeps, okay? Everybody. They don't call themselves, including big, all registered, government registered churches are also under this umbrella. The law is under the London umbrella of laws. So that's why I am today going to touch on the legal system because um, my first episode in the Keystone documentary series is titled $750 million Secret, and it's a story of Jean Benet murder cover-up story. So this is an expose of how that murder got covered up. So this is the intent for me to open up that conversation and actually make a documentary film looking at Jean Benet Ramsey murder, and then the investigation, most importantly, the investigation of her murder is a setup or a cover-up that was done by this group, okay, including justice system. And this is why, in preparation to to even write this episode, I had to have this book's dictionary. All right. Ren Anthony, hi. Thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed your comments. Thank you so much. All right, Teresa. Well, I am going to later go a little bit into, so Kathy O'Brien, why I want to talk about Kathy O'Brien in the episode of, first episode, because it's of the Keystone, in how the Keystone is, the whole Keystone was born out of this over 20 years sort of investigation that I've done as independent investigative journalist into this group and into the subversion of the United States Constitution by and replacing it with this one. So this is basically, and like last time I said, our United States Constitution being subverted via justice system and been subverted. Okay, we're in basically because this is a system of subversive control. So this is how it got implemented in United States, and so this is my intent with this whole series is to my findings on my over 25 years of investigating this group, how they operate, how do they infiltrate governments, organizations, churches, and all of that from within. Because this is the same group that infiltrated Russian Royal Guard from within. It's all under umbrella of this group. So for those of you that have those ancestors like I do, then that's it goes back that far. Okay. And so at the same time, when you look on YouTube, right, you're gonna see that when it comes to Jean Benet murder investigation, there is so many documentaries, but all of the documentaries that you look at, they're all controlled opposition, all backed by this group in all cover-ups, including the one that NBC did. And this is the one that none other than negotiator for Guardians of Pedophiles, Lynn Wood, negotiated the payouts to the Masonic family of Jean Benet Ramsey in 2016, 17. So, and that's the another attempt of this group. And so they basically went on record using media to pay out pay out to keep family quiet and keep the investigators, those that anybody, if anybody, whoever is left in the government, in like police, FBI and CIA, that are willing to honor their oath to United States Constitution, because you can't have two masters. See, United States Constitution is opposing this one. In order for you to be a Mason, you have to surrender United States Constitution. So, and like I mentioned last time, in fact, it is treason. So, for a Freemason to hold any public office within United States of America and be a member. Okay. So basically, that's treason. What I also added today in there is because I am going to be talking about why I couldn't make this documentary, including this first episode about John Benet Ramsey murder cover up, and how many Jean Benets it's been ever since 20, more than 25 years ago that murder happened. So, like I mentioned last time, this group is it's and everything. When I went recently, and when I announced the Keystone documentary in 2019, this is when Boulder County uh, government went after me, including the police and FBI and on and on and on. And so, and this is what led to Boulder County falsely in prison, kidnapping, assaulting me, attempting to murder me without any legal proceedings. Everything was done illegally. It was done worse than it was done in Russia. So this is why, through this whole thing, I will refer to Boulder County as Gulag County, because I ultimately went in already knowing that Jean Benet Ramsey was a cover up, murder investigation was a cover up. So I went to undercover with Masons, because through accessing all of their spiritual doctrine, I was able to find out why and how they do cover ups. And then, in order for me to expose it, like any journalist, I had to experience um, that this group having full control over Boulder County government. So basically, it's full control um, that they took over a government, and this is what my intent was, is to get documents and document the actions that are taken via justice system, so then the military tribunals can happen. Okay, because that's my original intent for Keystone, is ultimately this is going to be a story of how uh, are sort of the rebirth of America, where we're gonna actually um, punish those that subvert the United States Constitution, the law of this land. And this is why I wanted to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, and what the connection to Ghislaine Maxwell, this first episode about Jean Benet Ramsey, is that Ghislaine Maxwell is part of it. And that's why the picture, which is worth 1,000 words, that I have there, is one of the last known pictures of Jean Benet Ramsey, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in it. And so the connection that I was waiting for, in order for me to be able to even um, produce the episode, I needed for that whole thing to connect all the way back to where I don't have any holes, that uh, this is a cover up and continues to be a cover up. And then this group is using our public offices as their own personal funds. And this is where, like I was saying, um, my nicknames to everyone that committed treason um, in justice system by going along with Kangaroo Court, when I was telling them that literally went on record that I'm a journalist, went on record saying that I am um, investigating cover up of Jean Benet Ramsey murder, basically. So they knew and were aware, and so this is why ultimately they went after me. And that's exactly what I needed them to do, and that's why I kept them in their fields. Because feelings, oh, feelings. Right? And so this is how, while they're thinking that they are showing force and they want me to submit into something, I ultimately already know what it is that I'm doing. And I will tell you guys why. Because when my son was born, like I mentioned last time, he was due on Christmas. He was born 3 weeks earlier. It was 1996. For that 3 weeks, it was absolutely heaven. That comes December 26th, 1996. Jean Benet Ramsey murder. I lived 3 miles away from it. Impossible to avoid it. And this is why I posted Kathy O'Brien's interview. Because in this interview, she said why she does what she does, why she writes the books, why she goes out there while this group is continue to drag her through the mud in her name. Because she said she did it for her daughter. Because Kathy O'Brien was born into this. And she knows all the ins and outs of this group. She was born into it. She survived what Jean Benet didn't. And that's why this episode is meant to be including her perspective. Because she survived what Jean Benet couldn't. To this day, Kathy is dragged through the mud because she shares her experience. She did it for her daughter. And when I listened that, and this is what it brought me to tears when I listened to that. Hey, Loki, thank you so much for being here. When I heard her say that and explain to her why she stands a warrior today and continues to fight for the survivors and continues to share how to heal, because we can. She is a living witness that we can heal the worst of the worst trauma in this world. She was born into it, she lived through it, and she survived it. She learned to live, to laugh, and to love. And this is ultimately why I want to release my work, creative work in that way to encourage others to live and laugh through it. And that's why, from her perspective, we can put together a story of how this group hides that doctrine that they call, it's titled Liberation of Children's Sexuality. And this is the horrific, evil thing about these people, that they have doctrines that teach horrific abuse of children. But because they play with words, just like it says in the Bible, because Satan is playing with people like there is no tomorrow, they call it liberation of children's sexuality. The horrific abuse that Kathy barely survived. These people who Jean-Benet Ramsey, both parents are members, bound by the oath to do that to their children, because once it's in doctrine, they have to do it. And so this is what I'll be talking about. I will end up closing that episode with the connecting of Department of Justice coming out party, which is I call Ghislaine Maxwell trial. That trial was Ghislaine Maxwell's clients testifying against Ghislaine Maxwell, because our DOJ has officially came out as guardians of the pedophiles. That was the official coming out, documented, that will be used in military tribunals. Because, like I mentioned, attorneys and lawyers that subverted United States Constitution, that is treason. And this is why you see so many in our Congress with double citizenship. You tell me, Congress or House or anyone, whoever, any of them have double citizenship and uphold to this Constitution, are treasonous bitches, confused Americans, attorneys, district attorneys, and so on. The ones that have a public oath, those are the ones that, because they don't understand that it's treason, we're going to be sending them to St. Quentin into rehabilitation chambers, and we're going to call it a rehabilitation chambers, because they're at that low IQ level. So, and plus, we're going to be using words that are not traumatizing to a future. And my intent with this documentary series is to show all of this. And it so happens. So when that happened, Jean-Benet Ramsey murder, and my son was 3 weeks. I came out of this, I was in this mother loving state. I was all in my son, and all of a sudden that trauma hits me. I lost my milk. He disappeared. At the same time, I so I have visions and dreams that I see and understand and clearly showing what had actually happened to Jean Benet, which is so horrific that 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 what actually makes me lose my milk. That trauma of losing my milk, adding to a trauma, oh my God, I can't, provide the most, and he was born a little bit premature. And so, it was just a lot of trauma. So, a lot of trauma that's inflicted on us both. And I am trying to sort of through this. And so, that was the moment when you can say that this episode of Keystone um, was born. That trauma, and just like Kathy talks about how that trauma can really catapult you into understanding what it is, the higher purpose for you to experience that. So then or sometimes you can see a visions of your future selves doing something that is like a little bit uh, like unusual. Like at the same time, I saw visions of myself exposing this group. I didn't understand on that time that that's what, like, why that trauma had to happen to me that way, to where I lose my milk, to where I will never forget that experience and all that trauma that I went through, and then figuring out and everything. But again, as soon as I went through that trauma and I understood, my love for my son, it like tripled. So I replaced the lack of that connection through feeding him through breast milk, and to feeding him so much more, loving him and caring for him and all of that. Exactly, Teresa. We are so open after giving birth. So imagine the trauma to where it killed my milk. So because that trauma was inflicted in at that time, I understood. I kind of, because every time, and this is one of my gifts, that every time, because I had so many near death experiences, that because I do not have a fear of death, I can pop out of my body very quickly. And so I spend a lot of time in that with my son, being in that state of higher sort of understanding. So this is the way I kind of nurture him through all of his childhood, is just kind of being in that, nurturing him spiritually and focusing on nurturing him spiritually, just being there. You know what I mean? So that kind of helped me to do that. And um it also kind of helped me to have an outlet to express love at the same time, because of all that trauma and all of those years following. It's all happening in my county. So all that trauma was going on. And then good few years later, I moved out of the county, and then it kind of went away, and I totally refocused, and everything kind of changed, and my whole thing changed. And for a little while, for a good few years, I forgot about those dreams. I forgot about those visions. I forgot about those prophecies that I was given during that time when I was in that state with my son, just being focused on being that love, that motherly, nurturing love for him. And so those experiences kind of like, um, and then anyway, and then what happens about 20 years ago then, I become a juror in a very simple case, and it so happens that it's a case to where a citizen is being accused of using his car as as a weapon, and they put all these charges of him as though he put a gun to that policeman who was working as a security guard. Um, but basically, he was backing out, and the security guard just kind of basically later he set him up and jumped kind of in front of it, and then he called his police buddies and said that he tried to kill him with his car. Well, basically, I am a juror in it. Throughout this experience, what is happening is we are deliberating for about 6 days. It should have been a very simple case. It lasted only 2 days in the thing. We just, family testified and off we go. 6 days we're in the juror thing. The head of the jury, I don't know what they called, I forgot. He's an accountant, a very interesting guy, very smart and kind of very clicky. And my English on that time was not very good. Thought they're not going to pick me as a juror, but they did pick me as a juror. So anyway, so I am just listening, and when you listen, you can and like for me, when I listen, this is when I like put everything together, and especially in the presence of the thing. So basically, long story short, what happens is throughout the jury, being the juror, as it turns out, later we tried, and that head of the jury, there was one lady who, because of her, we had to go back there 6 days because she would only one say that the guy is not guilty. When I mean that the guy is guilty when everybody's saying he's not guilty. Well, as it turned out, how she kind of said something that the head of the juries um realized that she was paid off by the police department. So, and because she got caught, he called her on it, and she got caught. So then she went ahead and said not guilty. So we go back to the judge and we say the verdict is not guilty on all charges. There was, I believe, like 12 of them. I mean, he was a terrorist, he was all kinds of things. The head of the jury, so pissed that this lady admitted to be bought out by police. After we finished this in the judge's chambers, when the judge called us juries in to talk to him and all of that, this guy corners the judge in saying, there's been crime committed, she was paid off. And I am just all ears. All ears. They even had like drinks and some cheese and all for us, and judge was all talking to us. So this whole conversation is lasting a while. During that conversation, what I walked out with is understanding of the justice system, because judge explained to the head of the jury that this is how district attorney trains their new district attorneys, including paying off juries. And at the end, basically, he explained how they train district attorneys, how they use police to set up people, basically, and all of that thing. And so judge is just going on and on and on, explaining how all of this crimes are happening within justice system and district attorneys using uh, people's constitutional rights as weapon against them and putting charges on them, criminal charges. So they're using United States citizens' constitutional rights as weapons against them. And judge goes admitting to the head of the jury. And then he proceeds, after admitting to all of this crimes happening within the justice system, he proceeds to tell this head of the jury, but look, the reason why it's okay and it's constitutional, he basically was trying to convince the guy that it is constitutional to do that, to use Constitution as a weapon against United States citizen. I bet that judge was wearing a judge's costume, but his oath was to this boo boo kitties, because that was his excuse, is that the reason justice system works is because you guys found him not guilty. Because to begin with, he said, I am surprised that the lady didn't give in, the one that was bought by police, it didn't give in sooner. So he basically turned around and blamed us jurors for not figuring out sooner than 6 days deliberating that one of our jurors were bought out by police, because this is how Jefferson County, state of Colorado, justice system operates within United States. Treason of the highest degree. And when the head of the jury still was not happy, he was saying that this is unconstitutional. Judge looked at him and he said, don't worry. And he said, you know what? I think it's time for you to go enjoy some drinks and some hors d'oeuvres. And he said, and you know what? I don't care to have this in conversation with you because I'm retiring in 3 months. And then he turned around and literally pushed that guy out of the room. So that was more than 20 years ago. So I entered justice system learning about it that way. So when I got set up, attacked on my morning walk with the dog, like I was back in USSR, by a police officer who took an oath to uphold and serve and protect my constitutional rights, attacks me from behind, puts me in the chokehold, and then kidnaps me, puts in jail. Nobody can read because and no probable cause, no Miranda rights, nothing, nothing. Who's in jail? Didn't give me any food. I mean, so and when I go in there, and at the same time, I am so much under pressure because all these covert things that are happening through the handler wannabe, literally physical threats, all of that. So I'm dealing with everything, right? But at the same time, knowing what I knowing, my intent is to see how. How do they cover? Who does what? Who violates how their oath? And then I gotta make sure that I keep them all in their feelings. Feelings. Oh, feelings. Because once they're in their feelings, they're only focusing on doing their jobs. And this is what I think, like I said, and my intent to go through that experience and to come out of it, and come out of it. Um, but yeah, he's an idiot judge, but he was just, they're pretty comfortable. I mean, come on. Come on. How about Fannie Willis in Fulton County, state of Georgia? She thinks that a state budget, it's a district attorney who thinks a state budget is her own gigolo fund. She paid she hired an attorney for 780,000. She paid an attorney to be her gigolo via Fulton County funds. This is how comfortable they are. And this is why I went in knowing all that. Yes, it's a gigolo fund. In Funny's story, that's what we're going to find out. It's a gigolo fund. That's Fanny's understanding. That's what she's defending right now. What do you think they are doing with that? Like, even you guys, it's kind of funny, right? We can laugh about it right now, okay, right? Um, in the Fulton County, and this is why, like, because I'm also focusing on all this, this um, comedy, funny story. It's gonna be a story about this kind of, this public officials that have no clue that that is looks like she has a clue that that's conspiracy to defraud the United States. I don't think so. Yes, because the requirement is below Maxine Waters' IQ level. Did my low budget torture judge, Jeannie, I'm not going to call her last name, in Boulder County, District 20, Judge Jeannie, her first name is Jeannie. It was so funny because I got that Jeannie come out of her treasonous bottle on November 13th of 2020 at the hearing. So quick, she came out of her crimes against children's bottle so quick in one hearing. Oh, I kept her in her feelings. Jeannie, she's like this poisonous snake came out of that bottle so quickly and went ahead and blubbed everything out, her crimes into on record. Exactly what I needed her to do. And I go there and I'm like, Spirit, I was worried that it's just me and all of them. I guess when they're below Maxine Waters' IQ level, it's all right. I can have some fun with it. So I definitely kept my low budget torture judge in her feelings because she went ahead and their torture of kinds of sorts and went ahead and with all kinds of crimes on records, crimes against children, conspiracy to defraud United States, violation of oaths, so treason of the highest degree, uh, and put on. So when she does that, goes on record. So my intent for them to go all on record. So when I have all the sides, right, of the government doing that, including justice system using CIA via what they call it is what they the budget torture judge will explain to me why she can't how Boulder County, speaking of budget, how funny things that the budget with Fulton County is her own gigolo fund. mean, literally, that's what it is. That's how they act, and they act like it's normal. And the judge sitting in there in the judge's costume, acting like he's not upholding to this oath. He doesn't know that any laws against Constitution are null and void. He doesn't know that law. He doesn't remember, Judge. He accidentally on purpose forgot. I mean, this is low. How low it it goes. And then Ghislaine Maxwell trial is literal coming out body on record. So basically, what happened is I literally knew ahead of time that if I go into the legal system, so I trigger them, they literally use a picture of their crimes, putting in danger city of Lafayette, Boulder County, putting in danger over a community of apartments, over 200 people in danger. And they took that picture of them doing that, and they attempted to use that picture as discovery in my case and in all the charges, they trumped up charges that they put there. They don't match, nothing comes. It's like, hello, how stupid do you have to be, or are you upholding to the oath that is telling you, and you're upholding to the laws that subvert the United States Constitution? But if you took an oath to United States Constitution and in public office like district attorney, well, that's treason. And so that's why, in order to make this documentary, I have to, because, and like I showed you guys last time, you know, this is basically um the law, and then there is so much more than just this. And this is what happened here: include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap. There was another attempt to kidnap me on September 17th. That one got recorded too. And basically, so this is all here. Here's another book that is on my desk. It is an interesting book. So this is ultimately also, this is for Keystone. So those of you look into it. So all of that, this is going to be talking about and exposing, just like this is why I'm going to be exposing all of these connections. And there is actually a hearing that I will be bringing, that whole first episode will be surrounded around that, is that fact that there is a judge, constitutional judge in the United States years ago, that had order, and there is a ruling that states that this organization has to make all of their doctrine public. What our Department of Justice system did, and this is what I call it, treason of the highest degree, and this is what ultimately initiates the military tribunals, is that doctrine that I mentioned, liberation of children's sexuality, which states that every Masonic people have to abuse their children. And this is where Kathy O'Brien will explain all of that doctrine, why and how it's to basically to do brain damage. But this is called cursing, because this is all about that forbidden religion. So this is their, how they curse their own children, is by doing this kind of horrendous acts. And there, of course, is explained this, just like the title of this doctrine. It is an horrific acts that are presented as that they have to happen. So, and this is why sort of then, because of what happened, um, that then the Ghislaine Maxwell's list is basically all of those in justice system and in the politics and all of those that covered up for the fact that our government, including our like I mentioned, all of those people that been covering up for subversion of the Constitution inside of our government, and this is how our government was taken over from within, is through subversion of the United States Constitution, and then making the laws that that subvert Constitution, and then paying off all the constitutional judges and Supreme Court in particular to look the other way. Basically, it's a criminal organization. Our DOJ became a criminal organization covering up for subversion of our country and taking over our country. So basically, all of that has to be corrected in here so that it can return. So this land can return to the law of the land. And so this is what that first episode is going to be all about. So this is we're going to bring, and this is what like Kathy talks about, we're going to bring that perspective from a survivor to where we healed, and now it opens up a new neurons in your brain to where it helps you to see how that trauma benefited your spiritual growth. And so this is what mainly my intent to even do this kind of work is to help us to take something that is so horrific and learn from it what we can, how we can heal through knowing what it was and releasing that so those curses no longer have attachment to us. And so then when we do, and in a way, those survivors, those of us that speak up about the process of healing that we go through, we ultimately demonstrate to a collective humanity how it is possible to heal and elevate our collective vibrations as collective human beings. So it is definitely with this, it is my intent to to go through the stages of collective human consciousness in sort of even with everything that I do in creative work. So the first stage is evolution or elevation in that consciousness, or attaining that Christ consciousness, right? So basically, so this is why, like, even though this is starts a very sort of horrific stuff, but I will be presenting it in a way to where this is why I'm going to be talking from those who went through it and survived that, what some of us like Sean Bonet didn't. And so now how we can implement the justice on those. And this is why all those that covered up, those are the ones that put up that show, that's Ghislaine Maxwell trial. So here's your list of co-conspirators, because there's not one child that's suffered that horrendous abuse um, was mentioned in that trial. And that goes back, and this is why I mentioned Ellen Dershowitz, because Ellen Dershowitz is the number one on Ghislaine Maxwell's list. He is the client number one. I know he's the client number one on Epstein's list, but think of Keystone, the documentary series, as Ghislaine Maxwell client list exposed. So that's my intent. And so The names are going to be dropped. I think the negotiator for payouts, for documentaries, for the media payouts, because I will cover the three different sides of the cover up, which is legal, media cover up, and that's all of the cover up documentaries that have been produced, who produced them, um, you know, who funded them, where the funds come from. So like I said, justice system, right? So negotiators for this group, attorneys like Lynn Wood, they are the characters, or the Linwood is on the list. That's Ghislaine Maxwell list. Or those are my character list of characters from Keystone documentary series. All right, you guys, it's been 1 hour. Feelings. Oh, Linwood, I kept you in your feelings. Feelings, Linwood. So the first stage evolution, you guys, and this is kind of on a collective level we're gonna go through, and this is my intent, like of the spiritual intent, because I know you guys are so mature spiritually in here. Ramus, Loke, Teresa. Um, Interesting, right? And then my second, it's 3 E's. The second stage is emergence. So we're going to have the emergence of that heart sort of space, to where we're going to be able to see it through the heart, and do this with sort of with heart and a little bit of fun. And we're going to do it like, it's going to be worse than what happened after World War II. No mercy for the wicked, and we're going to do it really quick. We're going to call it rehabilitation, at St. Quentin, and all of those that need rehabilitations because they didn't accidentally on purpose don't know the definition for kangaroo court. They don't know the definition for conspiracy to defraud United States. They don't know anything. Oops. So, but then the emergence of that consciousness, of Christed consciousness, and that heart operation. Yes, Ramus, we need that kind of fun. And then the third stage, we gonna start operating on that eternity point, to where we gonna be that love, meaning that we will have that moral basic standard that we do not abuse our children. But yet, we're gonna gently send all of those that did abuse children, and all of those that continue to abuse children. We all send those to the rehabilitation chambers at St. Quentin. That's how we're going to take care of that problem. Our military is not confused Americans like Alan Dershowitz, that covered up, Alan Dershowitz covered up originally crimes against children with getting that non-disclosure agreement for Epstein. That was actually when Alan Dershowitz, a professor at Harvard, went on record covering for crimes against children. So Alan Dershowitz is very confused American. He thinks that he's covered, but Alan Dershowitz is too stupid because, hello, if you covered up for crimes against children and went on record with it, execution chamber. But because you're a confused American, Alan Dershowitz, And you did that in 2006, you did that in 2008, and you kept covering and covering and covering for crimes against children. And then in this first episode of the Keystone, I'm gonna bring Linwood because Linwood is a negotiator for the media cover. So that's why Linwood is the spokesperson for this below Maxine Waters IQ level group out there right now because that's his responsibility. So just like Linwood, ultimately, what we're going to see is that it is like I said, our military is pretty clear on their oaths. They're pretty clear that it's guardians of pedophiles versus guardians of United States Constitution. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. I mean, guardians of pedophiles right now, they have to be really stupid not to understand that they're losing. I mean, look what they did. They put 34 charges on Trump, and what did they do? They only elevated Trump to where he needs to be. He's using them like there's no tomorrow. He's using their feelings. It's a step stool to success, just like I did. Like you with the diaper on the wrong hole. Judge put a diaper on the wrong hole. Although there was so much shit coming out of her mouth, and it's all in script. It was so funny. It was so funny. She came out of the treasonous bottle. It was so funny. Her name is Jeannie. Jeannie came out of treasonous bottle because of feelings. Trigger her so much. Woo! Feelings. So anyway, feelings. So Trump is keeping them in their feelings. He is just rising on those feelings like there's no tomorrow. They're basically putting him back into the driver's seat. I mean, are they winning? Really? He got what, $36 million just from this charge. Okay, it's all funny, but I mean, it's just like the same way I use them to go on record with all of this crimes against children and everything. Ultimately, through this documentary, which is part of the case with military, because I am exposing so much treason and crimes against children, because we ultimately gonna learn through this documentary series that justice system, and especially what I'm going to be talking from my experience in Boulder County and including this judge, Jeannie, low budget torture judge, is that that is actually a system of uh, stealing children, because they basically use justice system to steal children from citizens. And that's basically all it's going to be exposed. So imagine it's going to start with them just doing a little boo-boo thing and going on record with their crimes. And yes, at the end, when they're caught, they're going to blame that, oh, we got received our instructions from a diaper instructors here, and they give us the wrong instructions, and we put a diaper in the wrong hole, and we didn't have enough oxygen flow into our brain and all of that stuff. So I said, oh, you know what? I have a story for that defense for each and every one of these boo-boo kitties. I'm gonna tell them the story of how when in Germany, one of the females, she was extra violent with the prisoners. She was so violent, and so at her trial, when she was asked, why were you like, you gotta beat them. Why were you like so she was terrorizing, traumatizing, and torturing. She was so into torturing. It was so inhumane that it was not like any other, including men. And she was a woman. And this is the woman that changed the way that guilty parties were hanged. This is the woman, because she was so extra violent that, and she said the reason, her answer was, just like everybody else, we were doing our job. But they said, well, your job was not to do that, all of that extra. But she said, I want to do a very good job. But because her actions were so incredibly horrific, this is when the people came up with those trucks where they will put the trucks under their feet, to where when they hang them, their necks don't snap, but they actually slowly choke to death. She was the one that designed that kind of punishment, and that kind of punishment rolled through the rest of the world. And in Ukraine, this is how most Nazis were then hanged. They were hanged, and some of them would last up to 48 hours because they would slowly choke to death. And yes, the women was the worst. So I said, I don't know, maybe we'll implement Ghislaine Maxwell's client, Elon Musk's little new device at St. Quentin, because those rehabilitation centers, we're going to somehow combine that to where we put those women that think that it's okay to traffic children, that it's okay to be an attorney and cover for the abuse of children, that it's okay to be a judge in the county and falsely accuse mothers of children and setting up them for jail so you can take their children into the system. And you did that intentionally, and you made what? Oh, you made money from it. That's what judge, low budget torture judge. Said genie came out of her treasonous bottle. So Scientology, yes. So that Scientology treatment, that's that abuse. And this is what I was talking about, the Iron County in Utah that we're going to be turning into gold, because this is the land of normalized horrific abuse of children. So this is why it's like, so people understand that it's not okay, and it could never happen in America. But because it happened, now that executions has to happen in some kind of way to where this never could happen again. So, and the change in the government can happen, is going to happen again, so that's never could happen again. How many in Congress have double citizenship? United States and Israel. Every one of those in Congress that has that double citizenship is an actually documented agent of Mossad. Treason of the highest degree. That's the way the military looks at it. That's not the way Supreme Court's going to look at it, because Supreme Court, with a non so pedo friendly and confused Americans, members of Congress just installed as a Supreme Court justice the most pedo-friendly judge in America. That's also on record. So they ain't with the United States of America oath. That's pretty clear. And now and I think I made a mistake. I said it was 2022. I think it was 2021 when Ghislaine Maxwell trial went on. So what we're witnessing in right now, like in California, why also California is going to be first to watch the government falling, and why St. Quentin is right here next door and all of that, is because we have dictator Newsom and the Supreme Court of California accidentally on purpose forgot they cannot, that this is not a Soviet state of California, and that they cannot have a law that subverts constitution. But accidentally on purpose, they don't know. Just the same way that Elon Musk and dictator Newsom doing business in California with Tesla and taxing Californians right now Burisma taxes. And neither of them, neither Elon or dictator Newsom, happen to understand or comprehend. How about you, Elon? Thought you IQ was above Maxi Waters. I don't think so, Elon. They can't figure out that doing Burisma taxes on Californians and installing a dictator and creating a law to install a dictator and making it into law, and then making a Burisma taxes into law, that my neighbors my neighbors Marine and Navy over here on this side have to pay too. And somehow dictator Newsom is expecting that neither my neighbors Marines or my neighbors Navies gonna figure it out that that's a version of the Constitution, or that this is a conspiracy to defraud the United States. But below Maxine Waters IQ level doing business in California, Elon. Elon confused American too. So how many, and here's your Alan Dershowitz. How many times Alan Dershowitz used media time to go scream out there, anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, at everyone who wanted to ask him, why is it that he is Alan, guardian of pedophiles, Dershowitz, on record since 2006, and he did cover all the crimes against children for Epstein. Yet he used that time to go and scream out there as confused American, because he's an agent of Mossad. Treasonous fucking bitch. Did you wipe your bloody junk, Alan, before you went on mainstream media defending the actions of pedophiles, using your position at Harvard? But no, you Harvard bitches are not half retarded. You're treasonous bitches. That's what you are. So here we go. Rehabilitation chambers at San Quentin. It's going to be years and years of eliminating treasonous trash. He's not this treasonous trash bitch. Didn't just cover for Epstein. he covered for a lot, many more. And no, you can't stand behind Jews because you are just as much as you're confused American, Alan Dershowitz. You're just the same confused Jew. Don't drag Jews into your fucking satanic shit. You're a confused Jew too. You got it. And exposure's coming to all of you. Ready for rehabilitation? And all of you regular attorneys in United States, get ready because you're going to be all forced to be Christians because you all boo-boo kitties are going to be raptured. Didn't you hear? It was predicted. It's going to be biblical. No mercy for wicked. Because United States Americans know the difference between United States Constitution and their guardians and those people that are guarding those rights. And oh, Alan, there is no way you can talk us into not knowing the difference between you, all of you guardians of pedophiles. So, who's next? Oprah's next. You guys, Oprah's next. On the pedestal, on the exposed pedestal. All right, you guys, it's what? Oh my God, you guys, I am so over my time. I didn't even notice, but I really had to put that Alex Jones is hilarious in his prime. Alex Jones is actually they use in the justice system Alex Jones to cover up for the crimes against the children that they killed in that school. So this is Boo Boo Kitties covering up for their for killing of the children because they need it for their agenda to push their agenda. And Alex Jones is nothing else but an agent that has to and if they just like with Ghislaine Maxwell, Alex Jones had to go and play, and they had to put it on him, and he just because he upholds to this oath, he has to, and it's all secret, it's all secret is because it's like you guys, there's in fact, this is what came out today for my talk today's the lies they tell and the secrets they keep investigating Masonic influence into United States government. So basically, that's what happened because uh, Masons, what they are here in United States, and the umbrella that they are, this is the same group that invaded Russian royalty and created communism and socialism. This is the same group. This is the same group that created Nazis. It's the same group. This is why they put so many documentaries giving you the opposite or creating all this cover up stories about Nazis working with Freemasons or or communists being the Freemasons and all of that stuff. Basically it's that top uh, layer of this group that they hide from everybody, including the lower level group. But because the top group now secrets are exposed, the lower level group realizing like that they actually need to close their ears when I'm talking about you know things that are happening right now, like because the lower level, the slave class of this higher level group, they only understand like in Freemasonry, it's all master slave dynamic. So that's the only way they can understand. So they they can't comprehend. That's why I say they don't have the IQ level to comprehend that that's what's happening. So it's kind of yeah. So Oprah, it's basically it's like the master slaves, and they have the thing. And this is what I literally why they went after me is because in my Keystone, I will be talking ultimately about Biden's Ukraine and Burisma and all of that stuff. And like I make fun of Elon Musk that the reason he, because the Tesla technology that Elon Musk is presenting as his is actually stolen via Epstein, okay? Because Harvard and Epstein has been stealing intellectual property for years and years. So this is not just, so this is why I said it's also about a business law that has to be, because there is an intellectual property side to it that another agency, non-American agency, has access to American-based military intellectual property that belongs to our military. And this Guardians pedophiles thought that, that they have the power to overcome um, the biggest military in the world, which is United States. Once our military, which is United States citizens as well, like I said, our military will become ultimately the sheriff's offices like originally the Constitution had. And all of this city governments and all of that stuff, they have already fallen. It's just that this group is upholding because that's their only mask. That's their only sort of thing. And it's melting and right in front of their eyes. I mean, literally, it's melting. I mean, come on. They all believe they can fly like R. Kelly. One time I said, "Oh, P Diddy probably is gonna believes that he can fly too." And I said, "You know what? R. Kelly probably it was probably a correct son for him because he's definitely flying from one cell after he gets kicked in his nuts. He's flying directly into a different cell to be a bottom bitch in a different cell. And so is P. Diddy. This is how they treat this is what these people deserve because they all abuse kids. They all abused kids. So yeah, R. Kelly dreams came true. I believe I can fly. Yeah, he's definitely flying from one cell to another, kicking the nuts, and off you go flying. Oprah will be flying. Oprah, you believe you can fly? You'll be flying too. You'll be flying too. All right, you guys, this has been fun. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I was a little bit stressed in the beginning because I was late. My thing I couldn't find. I had to call Jimmy to help me. He was like, "Mom, I don't know. I don't do YouTube." I was like, "What the heck?" But I figured it out. So I'm so glad it worked. Thank you guys for liking this videos. I really appreciate it for being here. Uh, Share it with those who are kind of interested in joining the tribe of those that are willing to contribute their sort of experience into creating sort of a media and creating future sort of shows and things like that that will be beneficial to those of us that decided that we're going to do it there ourselves. We've got our ancestors backing us up, and we got our future generations, to do this for. So this is why this is kind of for bloodlines, for our ancestors, because we are closing this cycle of abuse. And this is why we had to go through all this abuse on all this different levels in order to experience so we can heal it and then take that and transmute it, transform it, and take it to a next level to where we collectively like, like I was talking about the beast story, where we collectively can renew as humanity. And this is what Aquarian age is all about. And this is why it's like, Aquarius is representing, 11th house in our sort of this system. And so we can use that as to see in what it is. It's all about groups and spiritual transformation. So this is what Aquarius is all about. So like for me, even having the soul journey as an Aquarius here, it only works for my benefit to bring or understand that I am standing in the front lines, and my only responsibility is to implement that healing on individual level. And that's the only way I can help humanity to heal. So right now, it's like my healing. This is why I am gonna write a book, because it's incredible that what I went through with this group, how covertly they wanted to initiate me, how much force, physical threats, and torture I went through just because they wanted to steal my intellectual property. They wanted to throw me into prison just because I was exposing them. And I mean, and they went through all of that. And so, of course, I'm going to be writing a book about it, because there's so many people that we know that been set up by justice system. Through my experience, I learned that justice system, Boulder County, Colorado, has seized over 100 children. The judge, over 100 children has been seized illegally, just is in the time this low budget torture judge been in that county. So imagine how many victims they are. And so my book is to open that up. So, and I jokingly say to other people that I'm intending to collaborate with on all of my future creative projects, and I said, this experience was funny. The way I can describe it to pitch it to anyone is that Boulder County government decided altogether to kind of push me into their skeleton, to shut me up and shove me into that closet, lock that door, and throw away the key. That's what they really wanted. And what they didn't know, that as soon as they pushed me into that closet, my intent is I had the key that will open the door from inside out. And this is where that was how I was able to flip this whole thing on its head. So, until next time, everyone, I love you so much. We'll see when it's going to be, probably Friday. Okay, you guys? Love you all so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Okay, over.